Hello everyone, so in today's video we are going to cover the difference between functional component and class component in React. So before we move further, I would like to let you know what does this word component means in React. So let's suppose when we are working with some application, like let's suppose we are working with any kind of application that requires a lot of functionalities and there's a lot of things that are being going over there. So in that case, we would be repeating the same sort of code again and again, and like we would be having a bunch of different components that would be performing different tasks. So in that case, what we can do, we can just create different components for each of them, and the part of code that is being repeated multiple times, we can just simply copy that part of code, or like we can just simply use that component into the another component. And like one of the most common example that you can see over here, let's suppose we visit on some website and you can see the navbar remains the same for like most of the pages. So in that case, we would be just creating a component as navbar, and we would be using the same component in another like another components or another file. So that's the benefit of component. Like we can make our code look more cleaner, and we can optimize the reusability of the code. So with that, let us work on the functional component and the class components. So basically, firstly, we do not need some extra files like we do have over here. So we can just simply delete this. We can also delete this one, and we can also delete this one. Now in index.js, we can remove this report web vitals. We do not need this one, and I think yeah, we are good to go by the way. So let us compile this and check if there's any error. So we are, React is very good in providing some suggestions and error. So you can see like we are having that is in app.js. So let us check what's missing over app.js. So we have something called logo.svg. So we can just simply remove this one, and that's all. Now our application is being compiled successfully. So let's run this. Yeah, so we are getting the hello world. Now we would be moving towards something called class components in React. So firstly, we need to import React from React, and that is something that comes with React by the way. And then after we need to use this class, then after we need to name our component. So in this case we would be naming it as app, and then after we need to use extents when we are working with class component, and we need to add the react dot component. And that's how we use the React class component over here. That is, firstly we are having class over here, then we have the component name, then we have something called extents, and it is using react dot component. And now over here we need to render this, and we need to return whatever we want to return from this. So in this case, let's suppose we just simply want to return h1 tag, that is hello out of that. And at last we need to export this one, that is export default our app. We have to export this one because in order to use this component into another file, we had to export this, and that's how the syntax works in React. So we can just simply save this one, and it will just compile this. And by the way, I would like to let you know something more over here. So in this, instead of just writing dot component over here, we can also import this component at the top, and we can just simply remove the react dot over here, and it would work in the same sense. And one more thing I would like to let you know over here. So in React, we can only return one parent element at a time. So let me give you a more brief intro on that. Let's suppose in this case we are returning hello, and like we are doing the same for the next one, and we would be getting some kind of error out of that, and we won't be able to do so. The reason it comes because in React we can only return one parent element at a time. So to return multiple elements out of that, we can go with something called fragments, or like we just need one parent element, and one parent element would be having the number of children that it do have with itself, and we can just simply return that one. So let's suppose in this case we want to use something called p tag, and we can just simply say this is a React app. So we can save this one and we can check the output. So here we are getting hello, this is a React app. So that's how the class component works in React. Now let us move towards the functional component, and there's no much difference between in terms of syntax. Like we do have something extra, that is this render over here, and we do not have this one over the functional component. So let me write that by the way, so you can get a more better understanding. So firstly we need to import React from React, and that comes from React. Now we can go with something called function, and we have the component name over here, and we can just simply return this over here. And in this also we can only return one parent element, because this is the way uh, the functional component or the class component works in React. So in this we are returning hello, and we need to write something called export default and our component name, and we would be getting the same thing over here, that is hello. And that's how the functional component work. And by the help of arrow function we can make this much better. So let's suppose we want to use arrow function over here. We would be saying const app, and we would be using arrow function over here, so we do not need this one, and we can just simply copy this one inside of this, and that's how the thing works with arrow component. So you can see we are getting the same output over here. So that's the main difference between like I mean that's the difference in terms of syntax between the class component and the functional component in React.